Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon. Yes, this is still a thing on my channel. And, yeah, since I've been talking about, these types of topics that's considered newsworthy, and it's basically, been, responding to these kinds of stuff. Usually it's something I would disagree with. And again, something even goes with the princesses. Yes, I know. I realize I made a truck ton of these types of videos anyway from my previous Disney-a-thon, and I guess continuing that trend on my channel. It's just in one form or another, in one way or another, I want to talk about it. And so, if anything, to give them all an idea of what I'm talking about, I'm defending these types of characters again, as usual. And I guess it's more of a response of this one article I came off from, and just trying to ask, can the more nowadays modern girls learn from the Disney princesses? Yeah, we all know where this is going. How the old movies are stereotypical or whatever, and all that mumbo jumbo, which I do think is garbage because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, yes, the princess characters have changed over the years. The mode of these movies, the formula have changed here and there while keeping the overall idea, but just changing it, bits and pieces of it, which is fine, I guess, because you do have to make it interesting somehow. And from a narrative perspective, I don't mind, having some sort of ideas change, because, again, this is the kind of topic spoken about before, so I'm doing my best to not come off too repetitive here, because I just don't want to regurgitate the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, excuse me if bits and pieces of this do come out somewhat repetitive, so just bear with me here, folks. Like The Little Mermaid, along with the original Beauty and the Beast, are often credited for having a more active, adventurous princess in a way, and which, again, doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, really, though, honestly, I do think Beauty and the Beast is a better film if you ask me, but whatever. Point being is that you want to win the whole argument where the female lead doesn't necessarily have to wait around and be rescued by a man, which it just seems kind of odd that they specifically go after Disney when it comes to this kind of thing. Not really noticing the fact that a lot of these old stories are loosely based on old fairy tales from ages, like if not hundreds upon hundreds years prior Disney ever got their hands of it. So whatever, ideas that these old books may have just might be carried into the animated movies. Not that I'm suggesting that sexism towards women should be accepted, so don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. But books and movies can be products of their time. So, of course, morality will change over time. For the better or for worse, that is a factor in the reality. For society, for better or worse, that is a thing. So, I mean, not that I'm saying that a minority can't fight for civil rights or whatever. There's a good and bad change everywhere in every generation. I mean, sure, okay, progress is progress in some sort of matter, but every generation has its moments, and every generation has its bad. That goes for every generation. But so don't be thinking I'm trying to pick favorites here or poke stabs on any generation or anything. Just so you know. But they're trying to use today's modern society as a way to pass judgment on something that's long ago. Years, if not hundreds, if not 300 or 400 years prior to birth. Which doesn't seem fair if you ask me, because times do change, obviously. Apparently there's this football team that wants to help out, to fight against the cliches. And again, I'm not against with women wanting to have equal rights to men and whatnot, given the same kind of opportunity as men, given the same respect as men, yada yada yada, and all that. I'm fine with that. So again, don't be taking this the wrong way. But the fact that they just want to fight against the Disney princesses just because the princess is just utterly bogus, if you ask me, because it's Disney. It just comes off like, yes, there's lots of little girls who watch these movies. That's true. But that doesn't mean there's some sort of agenda, some sort of crazy thing against this kinds of stuff. And, of course, they're going to argue against the fact that, oh, there's a cliche, of course, and whatnot. And again, there's a variety of princess type of characters already. I've already said this quite a few times already, where it's like, to express femininity, to express womanhood, the whole idea, the whole concept of what makes a woman, shouldn't be just expressed just one kind of way. It shouldn't be just their way or someone else's way or whatever. It could be expressed in multitudes of different ways, of different methods. It should not be one specific way. And does this mean that the princess character has to go on an adventure? No, you don't have to necessarily go on an adventure. It could just be something within the town, or maybe within the village, or maybe just within the forest. It could be just in one spot. It doesn't have to be some grand, huge, humongous. Then they have to go explore the world and whatnot. It doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Really, it could be just in one country. That's it. It could be just in one single place, and that's it. And I mean, if you want to make it play in just in one house, or I mean, in one castle, I don't know how you can make that work without making it seem boring. But you can leave room for creativity, for story possibilities. And when it comes to narrative, I say the same thing with storytelling. The narrative type story should not be just one specific type of story. There's plenty of when it comes to Disney princess characters, I do believe there's untapped potential, even after all these years, of course. Disney's version of Snow White and Seven Dwarfs was released in 1937. Yeah, that's quite a while ago. And I still believe there's untapped potential for these types of characters. It's possible, you can still do it, and you just have to be really creative about it. My point being, just like with femininity and storytelling, these two objects, storytelling and femininity, should not be expressed just in one kind of way. The princess character doesn't necessarily have to carry a gun or a sword and just go out and fight. She does not have to be done in that space. I mean, she could, I guess, but it doesn't have to be just in one kind of way, is what I'm saying. When sports organizations want to, team up and campaign for its own Disney princess as a way to display strong female leads in these princess movies, as a way to encourage young girls to, be strong, brave, and all that, just to encourage them to be themselves, even if society doesn't want them to be, which in some ways just comes off like, as if society as a whole is demanding women to be a certain way. That's a lie right off the bat, because, I mean, yes, there was a certain period of time where women couldn't vote, women couldn't own a car, or own houses. That is true. There was at some point women couldn't do this or that, sure, but society has changed. I mean, that's not to dismiss sexism. Of course, sexism still exists to this very day, unfortunately, that is true. I'm not dismissing that, because sexism, unfortunately, is still a thing to this very day. But, of course, cinema can be a powerful thing, and yes, it can be an outlet to express certain belief systems, certain morals, of course, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing, of course. I'm not saying you can't use cinema as a way to express certain ideas. I'm not saying you can't. But I guess in some ways the way you go around it, obviously, because just because the old Disney films were a certain way isn't enough evidence to suggest that these films are sexist, because they're not. You can't change my mind otherwise. So, yeah, it's just, again, I'm trying to do my best to not become repetitive in what I'm saying, folks, because the same counterpoints I've said before in other videos like this, I've said it multiple times already. I don't want to come off like too repetitive here, folks. I know I just said that a moment ago. But it's just ridiculous that a lot of people won't go after these types of princess movies just because they view them as sexist. Just because you view something as sexist doesn't mean it's sexist. I mean, yes, there's plenty of men out there, especially in religion, that want to, condone women and not allow them to, do what they want. That is true. There's plenty of Christians who uh, don't want women to progress in any kind of thing. Yes, that's unfortunate reality. Even to this very day, that is true. But that doesn't mean that Disney's doing that at all. You can make your own movie. If you want to make your own movie, go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. Just don't make crap. And yeah, that's the thing, folks. It's a lot easier to make your own movie nowadays. This is what 2021. And it's a whole lot easier to make a movie now compared to like what the 1920s, the 1930s, and 40s or whatever. Yeah, it's a lot more complicated then than it is now. I mean, sure, there's still gonna be some struggle, of course. There's still gonna be a lot more, you know, difficulties that get in your way, like financial and whatnot, getting a crew together, writing a script, and all that stuff. But at least the brunt, it is a lot more easier nowadays. Because you're angry, just because you're annoyed at something, does not mean you have a point. I mean, I have nothing against, women being strong and kind at the same time. Having important attitudes and having some kind of qualities that women can learn from, you know, these princess characters, I'm fine with that. Having some sort of influence in a positive way, that's great. Sure, have women learn about some things. But that doesn't mean that you should change Disney characters. So just I don't know. It just it seems ridiculous to assume that these kinds of movies are in a evil way. Or, well, at least the old movies in a way. It does not mean it's sexist at all. But yeah, it just I don't know. It just seems weird, folks. There's plenty of other movies that are in fact sexist. Go after those. Other films had some pretty cool female characters in them, and I don't see any of you speaking about these movies like at all. Like whatever. Come on, the kaiju genre has plenty of female characters that were pretty cool. So yeah, in those films they express the female leads not all in one way, in various ways. Sometimes you don't even have to fight. You don't have to lay a single finger at all to do anything for the progress of the story. You do it in other ways. You can, maybe, I don't know, use diplomacy. You can try to talk things out or something. I don't know. You don't have to do it in one specific way. And that's the power of storytelling. You can do it in more ways than one. Sometimes you just try to be like the more central of it all or something. Oh, I don't know. You can have the main character doesn't have to throw a single punch to do something or blow up anything. I don't know. It just seems like this entire thing just seems weird if you ask me. It just seems rather odd. Because I'm not saying you can't have a female fighter, okay, folks? I'm not saying you can't, like, female character can't have a lightsaber, blaster, or whatever. I'm not saying that female character can't do any of that. So don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. But just like they don't. It comes off they don't study what they're trying to say or whatever all that much. Like I'm not saying you can't have a female character sweet and make kind. But sometimes, when a character is pushed to the edge, like they can't do anything about it, I'm not saying they shouldn't. But just consider the fact that they could, have a backbone. I'm not saying they shouldn't either. But yeah, it just seems like they're just picking on the Disney princess characters just because a lot of people give those characters, a lot of attention and whatnot. Just, I don't get it. Just doesn't make any sense to me, considering the fact that just because a lot of these movies are all like Cinderella, like the original Cinderella. The original Cinderella is from the 1950s, 1950 to be more exact. That doesn't mean the film itself is sexist. Not every single film from the 1950s is sexist. There's plenty of characters from way back when that has a strong female lead in one way or another. Film noir genre is filled with these types of femme fatale type characters, these detective genre, which I do enjoy. This type of character was often, having their own strong will and whatnot. And of course, to be trustworthy and loving women, depending on the story they're going for. They can be mysterious, double-crossing, gorgeous, unloving, tough and sweet, unreliable but could be reliable. Again, depends on the story in which they're being told. But yeah, one way or another, they're strong in their own way. It doesn't always have to be physical, no. But there's other ways you can actually achieve this strong female lead, obviously, in more ways than one, in a bunch of ways. Like I just said a few moments ago, there's quite a few different methods in which you can actually go with this, of course. Because the thing is that it just comes out like a lot of these individuals haven't done the proper research, like at all. I've been watching movies for pretty much a whole life, and the thing is, I've seen a lot of these strong female characters, even back when it wasn't really acceptable. But anyway, whatever. As always, thanks for watching, and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah, later.